The Lexus GS F. The full review is today on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to tell you everything you need to know in general about the Lexus GS, this upper mid-size segment car, and of course with a special focus on the F version, that is the performance version with the V8 beneath this very hood here. So we're going to have a lot of performance fun. We will have acceleration parts on the Autobahn, pushing that, well, one of the very few left naturally aspirated V8 engines. And also take a look in the interior as well, everything you're used to here on Autogefühl. Let's go with that in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. Let's first compare prices. If we take Germany as an example, 47,000 euros for a base Lexus GS and then almost 100,000 for the GS F. Then you get everything you can possibly get for a GS. For example, also here those matrix LED headlights, pretty spectacular look, and that's in general the characteristic stuff about the exterior here. Very dramatic with this characteristic Lexus grille, have been now for some years. And then the F version also features the, let's say, it's not purely black, it's a little bit brighter, but then in a glossy finish. Also here the huge air intakes and carbon fiber is also characteristic for that. You remember maybe our RCF review, the little bit smaller car, it's a coupe, there we also had the carbon fiber hood. But here we have everything in the vehicle color today, besides of some small details, and of course this color here, one that really comes close to a so-called Thomas blue color, my favorite color. So great color look for sure. How you like the front? 4 meters 85 or 15'9" is the total length of this vehicle. Upper mid-size segment, so BMW 5 Series here is an M5 for example. Mercedes E-Class, it would be an E63 for sure. Something in these regions, or Audi A6 or the S6 or the RS6. Then you can see 19-inch rims come with the F version in this darker finish and also with contrasting brake calipers. The F logo right there, contrasting mirror caps, and then the thing is, got those additional spoilers in the lower part, also sportier look. But in general, I found the design, the overall design in the side profile relatively old school. I'm not exactly sure why it's that the case. Maybe you share that opinion as well. And then here, for example, a classic sedan look, a little bit round style, coupe style with the chrome frame. And I think nice that the chrome frame contrasts the bright blue color. And I want to hear your opinion about the side profile and here now. The GS in general features very sharply designed tail lights, and also the F version comes with this chrome wing. Maybe a little bit too much. I think I would like it maybe more in vehicle color. And what's also remarkable that the 4 exhaust pipes, they are a little bit placed over each other. That's also a very unique thing. Overall from design, of course, very spectacular. Is it my favorite in this very segment? I think I would rather prefer a little bit more, aligned design. Here they play a lot with different elements, but if you want to have something different, then for sure you get it. is the key. Pretty old school, I think, but does the job. Also keyless entry available. Door closing sound. Then inside of the doors, and Alcantara or microfiber, I like it very much, is the theme of this vehicle in the F version. There are also microfiber seats available for the basis version, look out for that one. Then memory seats, you can have 3 different drivers. There we go. And then if we move on to the rest of the interior, the main part, you can see it here, the F feature seats with a lot of microfiber. Sadly, they use the real animal skin on the outside parts. That's unnecessary. They should update that for later models. But you can see here those half bucket seats. They have a lot of space, you can see that. And however, the basis seats in the GS are a little bit more comfortable. In general, they offer you already enough comfort. Then here we go for the steering wheel. And you can see, sit pretty far away. And the thing is, when I turn on the ignition, we got this comfort feature that the seat is automatically moving forward, and also the steering wheel comes in my final position. When you have the ignition on though, and also the door open, then we have this little annoying beeping sound. But you can turn on the ignition fully, and then we also have a relief from this beeping sound. The steering wheel can be adjusted electronically, that works pretty well. Also push it further in. Heated steering wheel is available here, right, too. I like that feature, definitely. The shifting pedals here, everything from a high class quality, real metal. You can feel it when in winter times it also gets cold. That's always the thing. And also here Alcantara is used on the top of the dashboard. Really nice stuff with blue contour stitches. Looks like it would be made for me. Cockpit overview. The infotainment system is really wide in there. So that is the characteristic form here. Lexus analog clock, also with a little nice illumination. This one here looks also a little bit old school. Then we got this very interesting surface here. It also feels very interesting. Here rather hard plastics are being used. Maybe they should have just put the Alcantara surface all over the dashboard. Still a CD changer, and interesting here also real metal are used for the buttons, but they don't have any clicking sound as with Audi. You just scroll them through. You know, it's a matter of preference. So this also feels interesting in a way. The steering wheel is rather compact, as I said earlier. And oh wow, it's really warm. Meanwhile, very interesting. Glove box can be opened right there. Slides down smoothly, but really not too much room in there. And then in the front here, we have the beverage holders. They can be adaptive. A little strange that we form a little gap right here when this part is being closed. However, the surface here again very nice, and also the seat heating is placed there. And last but not least, the shifting stick for the automatic lever. This has this classic stepping form, so it could be a little bit easier if you just would be able to pull it through. It's nice that you can put your hand here on this microfiber surface. This will then control the infotainment system like a mouse, but like a fixed mouse. I'll show you how that plays an effect on the infotainment screen, but I think it is, it somehow feels wrong. It's not really a handy solution. Then enter can be pressed right or left to have an effect or go back. Then this is here the driving mode selector, push for normal, eco mode, or right side for sport and sport S. S and S plus, and we will explain that when we drive the car. Snow mode does decrease the throttle input even more, and TVD for the torque vectoring. Interesting feature. We will also talk about that one later when we drive the car. Then here the cover of the armrest can be put up. You can slide this one here, also take it out, and then you have some room inside. In this case also a Wi-Fi box, and here you can have also the USB supply. The instruments are really interesting. Right side very small, just the speed, but you have the speed in a digital way in the middle part, and then according to the here eco mode, normal mode, sport mode or sport plus. Also the design changes. Climate unit can be controlled here. And interesting how the temperature changes in the screen. I like that, this effect. It's really nice. And also here you can increase the vents, but that's not shown here. That is then shown up in the upper infotainment screen. Strangely, well, whatever. Then this control, you know, I'm using this mouse kinda stick now to go through the menu. And as I said, it's not the most handy solution. Then I think a turning and pressing stick would be better, or again, a touch screen. Your phone can be connected via Bluetooth, and you just press yes and then connect your Bluetooth phone. That works. Then the climate functions, you also have an overview here. Again, the visualization also looks a little bit old school, I think. Or what do you think? And the GPS right there. Also with a rather old school look right here, and also zooming in and out, and when you press here and there I have to go there. So it's, again, I think it could really be easier. What about the rear compartment? The comfort function is now not active, so we have the real knee room as I would be sitting, and those sports seats are quite have some volume, so not too much left in front of my knees. I mean, it's a long car, there should be more, so the package is not the best one. Then height-wise, I'm 186 centimeters or 6'1", and it's almost the same headroom I have in the front. In the front, just a little bit more, so just a little bit left above my head. So for 4 adults, it's no problem. There are cars in the segment that offer a little bit more space, that's for sure. And in the middle part here, well, as the middle tunnel is pretty big, and also the middle seat here is, quite hard. It's not really recommendable to sit in the middle. Isofix covers we find on both of the outer seats. However, we cannot flip the seats for a top tether. That's however, you find the top tether on the behind the head restraints. You can feel it on both sides. So 2 child seats with full 3 mounts, 2 in the lower part, 1 in the upper part. That's perfectly working. But you cannot flip the seats. You have to be aware of that. You can just fold this one here down, and in the front you can fold out beverage holders then, and also here for some more stuff. And the only solution from here to get to the trunk is really there's a ski hatch I can reach through then. You always have to search at Lexus for the trunk opener. It's really placed not in the middle, but always on the very right side. The other solution would be just using the key, but that's not working at the moment because the ignition of the car is turned on. And so you have to use the button, and the trunk is opening very slowly. However, well, it's very wide for such a vehicle, that's for sure, so they don't lose too much space. There you can also see I've opened the ski hatch. You can load through things, and just a little bit more room here beneath the cover. So for a sedan, I mean, yeah, quite wide, not too high of course, but that's standard. The trunk is for sedan very well usable, besides that you cannot flip the seats. And here you can put some bags to secure them, a hanger. And the safety test for the electric mechanism. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a very, very short hatch here. I think just a little bit too strong, could be a little bit less in torque. So what do we have here? Wow, a nice design here on the top with the blue. It does not exactly match the vehicle color, yet looks quite nice. Still the naturally aspirated V8 engine, 477 horsepower, 4.6 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And other engines you can generally get for the GS in Europe, especially there's a new 2-liter turbo that came with a facelift now. Then you have the 2.5 or 3.5 liter hybrid. or especially for the US, the 3.5 as a naturally aspirated petrol engine. No diesels though. So welcome to the driving part, and the first thing I noticed when staying at the traffic light here, the shade of the front screen. When I look up, for example, to the traffic light, it's really helpful. I don't need to use the sunshade, the manual one, just because the top part of the windscreen is a little bit dark and blue. And that really helps you. I think it's a really nice feature, and let's now hear something from the sound and the first acceleration. Nice. This was the normal mode, so very harmonic, sonorous acceleration, also the sound. That is of course due to the naturally aspirated engine. So one of the very few ones left you can buy, and naturally aspirated, or Sauger as we say in Germany, with the V8. And the characteristics of those engines is that you do not get this turbo push, that you have to wait a little bit, and then the turbo sets in, you get the real push. Here it's really more harmonic, powerful but yet harmonic, and I really like these characteristics of such engines. Of course you can at any time also use the shifting pedals and shift down a little bit to get in the lower gears, and also to get some more RPMs, for example. There's also this manual mode. When you use the shifter here, you can also shift down or up with a shifting stick in the middle one. That is also possible. Or then again the pedals, or move the gear shifter to D again, and then you're in the full automatic mode once more. It is a vehicle of the upper mid-size class, and therefore we do expect, oh wow, we're at 100 kilometers here and some, whoa, now 80. And there was some, I think Audi S7 or something, and I think it was double the speed. Hey, we got that on camera. Shouldn't do that. So this was the first small part of the Autobahn, but we will soon also come to an Autobahn part where we will really hammer the throttle and give you all the German Autobahn performance with this Japanese car here. So already at 100 kilometers an hour, or about 60 miles an hour, it's very silent in this car besides of the engine. And I think that's also the trick here, that you have a very good sound insulation, and the only thing you really want to hear is this growling engine sound. And the thing is about the consumption, we had this V8 already in the Lexus RCF, just to remember. This one here, upper mid-size segment, and the RCF is the mid-size segment, the coupe of the IS. So the IS, Lexus IS, is the mid-size segment, as you would compare to BMW 3 Series, for example. The RC is the, let's say, for example, 4 Series coupe, if you compare it to BMW. And then the RC is the coupe version, RCF, the powerful one, with the same very V8 engine. And we were already very keen on that engine there, so I was really happy to have that engine here again. And now you might say, oh, Thomas is always about, eco-friendly and stuff, and now he's praising a V8 engine. Yes, exactly, because this downsizing that has been happening for the past years is not necessarily something that really makes sense for the environment, because first of all, with a lot of the naturally aspirated bigger engines, you do not always have a higher fuel consumption. For example, here we are at the moment at about 12 liters consumption on 100 kilometers. Yeah, if you, by the way, want to know what it is in MPG, it's quite easy. Just type in, for example, in your browser, in the top 12 liters / 100 kilometers in MPG, then you have it. And that's fairly good. I mean, we have 2-liter turbos which consume the same amount of fuel. So, you know, what about it? And this is here a rather heavy car. And also there's this thing about not about the total fuel consumption, the CO2 emissions, but also about those very hazardous, fine, small particles which are the most dangerous to the human body. And those ones more evolve from, you know, very small, highly tuned engines. Well, this engine does have a direct injection, so that is also, you know, criticized at some point. As for the small emissions, when, you know, as long as we do use combustion engines, I think we have to live with that. And if we use electric cars, then we have to live from the emissions from the power plants, unless we go for all regenerative energies. So let's do this with the car. We are soon leaving the city here. Car is feeling pretty stable inside the city as well. Doesn't feel too big. It's again this good compromise between sportiness and handling. You do feel the suspension is way stiffer than with a normal Lexus GS for sure, but not that you would say I don't want to ride it in everyday riding. It's still fairly acceptable for the comfortable aspect. So, and I always stress that I do like normal cars, for example a mid-sized car or an upper mid-sized car which has been turned into a sports car, rather than true sports cars. True sports cars may look more elegant from the outside. You know, if you think about, you know, a true 911, something like a Jaguar F-Type, so sculptural from the design, so beautiful to look at. But for driving, those cars like this here, they present a better compromise of comfort and sportiness, and you can use them for better purposes, and you also feel more comfortable with, as said, the longer rides in. So, although this is here 477 horsepower car, I could very well imagine going on a longer road trip with that one, and that definitely speaks for the car for sure. The acceleration figures, by the way, 4.6 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 62 miles an hour, and we will experience some of that on the Autobahn soon again. Here, by the way, in the normal modes, already very good in direct direction from the steering. You feel that the car's a lot of fun. And especially if you put that TVD, the torque vectoring, to the slalom mode. You can change it with a key, have slalom, track and standard. And that's such a funny effect. Here it's standard, it's already direct, but if you put it to slalom, the guy behind me must think I'm crazy, then the car reacts even more and feels so much shorter. And exactly that's what I wanted to achieve in the slalom mode. Because the torque vectoring here in the Lexus not only working that single tires are reduced, so braked. That is quite often how the torque vectoring is being handled. But all of the four wheels here, they get extra acceleration, for example, to imitate a car with a shorter wheelbase in this slalom mode. Interesting concept, and it does definitely work. And then there's also the sport mode, where you can hammer the throttle even better. See, even in the sport mode, the car took some time to do the downshift. Even were like two approaches, and I sometimes felt that the automatic transmission could maybe a little bit faster. Let's see if that also happens in the Sport Plus mode, because if you differentiate, first the button for the torque what the hell, cutting me off here. For the torque vectoring, I explained you first, you know, for the handling. And then there's this big mode shifter, either for eco mode, reducing the throttle input. Not so much is happening. Normal mode, normal approach of the car. And then there's a sport mode, I've just shown you. Also the instruments always change how they look like. And there's the Sport Plus mode. Sport S, let's see again, normal, Sport S, there, Sport S. And then you already heard, maybe now the car has already shifted down here. And if I now hammer the throttle, go for 80 to 100, that shouldn't happen, that you wait so long for the kick down. Yeah, so that's the main difference. Car is kept in lower gears, and that helps you, of course, if you want to do fast acceleration maneuvers, for example. And other than that, I mean, the other things make more sense to keep the acceleration a little bit further down to save some fuel. And I mean, you don't always use the full kickdown, and if you maybe use half throttle, there's also less difference than from really feeding it. The biggest difference is really when I did it that way, really hammering down the throttle. But you also have the other alternative. For example, if you stay in the normal mode and don't want to have it that extreme, you could also just stay here and then shift down 2 gears for yourself. So that would also work at any time, and that's perfectly fine. The Lexus also have been implementing assistance systems more and more. I really like that. So also the autonomous emergency brakes are becoming more and more common in their cars as well. We also have the blind spot monitor. Well, there's no car coming from behind at the moment, but we also get a warning in the side mirrors. Then the cruise control would be at the right side of the steering wheel, and I can set it. And also the distance to the car in front of me is kept. I can see the distance here also on the left side of the screen. And so far this is also working perfectly. But in this sport version here, of course, the manual drive and the driving yourself is rather stressed than all of the assistance systems. And yet again, I can prove that oh, wait a minute, we also have a heated steering wheel. It's quite cold in my fingers. Nice, just discovered that one. So, button on the left of the steering wheel. Yeah, I think I showed that in the interior part as well. Just remembered it now. Yeah, it's always good. I mean, in winter when sometimes I just have cold fingers. Nothing else is cold, just cold fingers. And then that steering wheel with the heating really helps. So, comfortable enough, a lot of fun to drive the car, very sovereign feeling as we used to from upper mid-sized cars. The car, however, feels smaller than some of the other competitors. For example, if you would step in the car blindfolded and, for example, compare Mercedes E-Class to this one here, then you could say, wait a minute, the E-Class was an upper mid-sized car in an upper mid-sized class. So, but this one here is just a mid-sized car, like BMW 3 Series. So this one here feels smaller than it actually is, and if you even put the slalom mode in, then it even feels smaller. So very interesting finding here. Also, I feel it feels a little bit smaller than the BMW 5 Series, although we've shown you that one in our review. The new BMW 5 Series is a very agile car for sure. So we go to the Sport Plus mode. Yeah, there it is. And we do have some nice acceleration for you. Where you go like from 50 to whatever. Let's go. And have you seen or also heard how harmonic this acceleration part was? So we didn't get the turbo kick in. I think it was also for the co-driver, yeah. So Michelle proves it. It was really harmonic acceleration feeling. Not that totally aggressive, although it was extremely powerful. And that's again stressing this characteristic feeling of the V8 naturally aspirated engine. I really liked it. And what do you think about the sound, guys? Here now at higher speeds, sound insulation is still good, for sure. However, if you compare it to other... So in the Sport Plus mode, also nice sound effects when you shift down. So for example, I don't feel like total adrenaline rush now because the car was really have a good harmonic acceleration, really interesting. Then you can always just push it here to go back into the normal mode and relax even more. So about the handling again, in comparison, definitely a good handling. We will soon also have our handling parcours up the hill, and we will tell you more about that. But sound insulation wise, I feel that the German competitors in the premium segment have a little better sound insulation. For example, for the 5 Series and the Mercedes E-Class, you get this special acoustic glass package, and that makes it really quiet. I mean, overall in this segment here, the premium cars are basically all very well done, and I mean, this is a $100,000 car, so you can also expect a lot. In some aspects they do come close. Here definitely the unique part is that you still have the naturally aspirated engine. That is, one part. Then this torque vectoring is very interesting, as you can really adjust it. And with this very interesting slalom mode, and we will put this slalom mode in when we also go up the hill. That one will be surely amazing. So this is probably the unique selling factor here, and the car feels a little bit smaller. Now the new 5 Series, well, I think there the special thing is that the 5 Series already as the lower entry models, already feels like one of the sports versions of the other competitors. That was the special thing about the 5 Series. In the E-Class, there was a very special thing that is a very comfortable, luxurious car, probably the most comfortable of all, also with the best air suspension. And they also offer a wide variety of choices as for the seat surfaces, especially in these microfiber leather red combinations in the AMG lines. So good choices right there. For BMW you have to go for the M line as well, to have similar seats like those here. Here, as I explained earlier, also with interesting surfaces mix. And well, from sitting on them for a longer time, I think for a long-term comfort, I would rather go for a normal seat. Those sport seats here, they do look pretty spectacular. They're not like very uncomfortable, but I think that the normal seats offer more long-term comfort than those half bucket seats we have here. See about the turning circle. That's okay, so no problems here. And we make those limited Autobahn parts once more now. You can listen again to the sound of the engine. And again, such a sovereign feeling here. And I think I'll just already go now to the slalom mode, because that's so much fun going in the slalom mode. The steering wheel, by the way, I think, as especially referring to the BMW 5 Series, because this is the upper midsize car I've driven the very latest now. I found the steering in the BMW a little bit preciser, so felt more naturally. This one here, I mean, it's great with the slalom mode, but at the same time, of course, it feels a little bit arcade style like. So it's all a matter of preference for sure. But I can just state you my impression there. Wow, when you're in the slalom, it's just really crazy. The car feels like a small go-kart, although we got we're at 480 in meters, and that's really amazing. What about this track mode, by the way? Yeah, it feels a little bit similar, but the slalom mode is really even more optimized for that. So we once more head to the Sport Plus mode, and we'll have some 100 to 200 for you now. That's it. The car's really feeling very stable, also at higher speeds now. No problems in handling that. There also the stiffer suspension helps you to keep control of the car. But for example, sound insulation wise, I wouldn't even have to raise my voice in the Mercedes E-Class, for example. And here I have to, as of course, complaining at a very high level. But again, we are here in the 100,000 euro or dollar segment, and there we can really compare also the very, very small aspects of each car. So that's it for the extensive Autobahn part, and the last thing that's missing is our handling test now up the hill, which will be the most fun for sure. So Sport Plus, slalom mode as well, and let's go up that hill and test the agility. Oh, even at the slow speeds, felt and heard that the tires are really working. Oh, I always pay attention to the other vehicles here. You see that the steering wheel sometimes has to be turned quite a lot, so could be a little bit more progressive. But of course still a lot of fun, especially in this slalom mode. Really some corners to enjoy here. So when I'm in the Sport Plus mode, of course, when there's a wet road, you always have to pay attention, because here like this, you see, also heard that maybe you can also spin the rear around just a little bit. That means here in the Sport Plus mode also, although the stability control is drawn back, so please don't do this as home kids. Always pay attention. So for the normal, not very experienced driver, I would rather recommend, for example, just a sport mode. Then you have a little bit more acceleration. Don't have this totally drawn back of the stability control. So in general, when you're in traffic and stuff, then always stick with the normal mode or then the sport mode. That one will do just fine. And Sport Plus if you're really experienced, or for example, have the chance to go on the racetrack. So a lot of fun with this car. I hope you also had fun with us. And now to the conclusion, Lexus GS F. For sure a fun car, and I mean really a very expensive car, but you get a lot. That's certain. For example, this very aggressive design on the exterior, and that's also more aggressive than with all of the other competitors. The interior with a great build quality. We also do have some nice surfaces. As for the microfiber, search for that also in the base modes, and of course here also in the top sports version. The infotainment system, I think, is a weak point. It's really old school, at the same time the input is not that handy. The package, of course, is also not the real selling factor of this car, so there are also better competitors in the segment. Driving wise, especially the slalom mode with this torque vectoring, that was really interesting. It makes the car so agile and it feels small. In general, the unique thing about this car is that it feels smaller than it actually is. And the second unique thing is, of course, still the naturally aspirated V8. That would be one of the main selling factors for this car. Other than that, for the competitors, yeah, worse maybe that they all use turbos. Better, however, from the interior concept as for the infotainment systems, or for example in some driving parts as well. The Mercedes is definitely the most comfortable one, also in the sporty segments. So if you think about the 43 or 63 versions, the BMW also we've recently tested, also not with the best infotainment, but then again real driving machine already in the non-sport version. That was a special thing about the BMW. and even without air suspension. And the Audi was, I think, also one of all the very balanced cars, also in the sports version. So, I mean, they're all surely great cars. Then, yeah, we also have, for example, Jaguar XF in a sport version that would be available as well. So, a lot of different expensive and great car choices in this segment. You have to find yours. I hope we could help you a little bit with your decision here today, or if you just enjoyed this car review for fun. And I mean, we've tested all of the other competitors, also tune into those reviews, and then you can also compare it and see what is the real strength of each car. Thank you so much for watching Autogefühl. See you next time.